All right, I'm gonna tell you from my point of view. I'm gonna tell you who he is. Then I'm gonna tell you who he is perceived as. Larry Hoover is a senior citizen who's incarcerated in ADX on a drug charge, and he has 6 life sentences. He's a senior citizen that deserves to be released under the First Step Act, but it's up to the judge's discretion. And under the judge's discretion, he's not sure if he should be released. Larry Hoover is a changed man who went to jail as a young man, and before he got put into the situation he was in, he was making all types of opportunities to make changes in his community for the people.
Starring Timothy Ross, TK, Larry Hoover Jr. Free Larry Hoover.
So this is Great Apes Cafe. Great appreciation for people, entertainment, and success. And we happy to have you here. My name is Timothy Rod. This is TK. And we're going to start off. I'm gonna have him start off with one of the questions.
Whoa.
But I'm honored. I'm
Yes.
happy and humble. That I have you here.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
All right. And today on the Great Apes podcast, I had the pleasure of introducing a man molded and ingrained with integrity and honor. A man that, like his father, put love and his life on the line for
Facts.
the future that he couldn't see.
Facts.
Advocating for the justice of his father's fate in the hands of ADX Supermax Prison in
Right.
Florence, Colorado.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my most sincere
Ladies and
privilege
gentlemen,
to introduce Mr. Larry Hoover Jr.
Larry Hoover Jr. Boy, gosh, think I'm big. Larry Hoover Jr. Man, gosh, nah, it's mad respect and mad love that I got you. AJ.
Yes.
I'm humble.
All right, well, yeah, like I said, it's a pleasure for me to be here, and you guys give me the opportunity to use your platform to advocate for my father. So, man, I appreciate you guys.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, let's start diving deep. Let's start talking a little about that because I want to resonate with my audience who don't know who Larry Hoover Sr. is. You know what I mean? And I want us to start off with that. Who is your father to not just you but to the world? Who's Larry Hoover Sr. And what does he mean to you in the culture? I want to hear from your perspective because I hear everybody else, but I want to hear from Junior. You know what I mean?
All right, I'm gonna tell you from my point of view. I'm gonna tell you who he is. Then I'm gonna tell you who he is perceived as. Larry Hoover is a senior citizen who's incarcerated in ADX on a drug charge, and he has 6 life sentences. He's a senior who qualifies to be released under the First Step Act, but is not being treated well. I can't say yes, I can. He's a senior citizen that deserves to be released under the First Step Act, but it's up to the judge's discretion. And under the judge's discretion, he's not sure if he should be released. Larry Hoover is a changed man who went to jail as a young man.
Right.
And before he got put into the situation he was in, he was making all types of opportunities to make changes in his community for the people that looked up to him and for the people that lived in his community. But Larry Hoover is also just known as Larry Hoover, leader of Gangster Disciples. A lot of people are unfamiliar with the changes he was making, the peace that he was bringing to the community, and all of the growth and development that he was teaching. People are unaware of who he is, who he has become. They know of the legend of Larry Hoover, leader of the Gangster Disciples.
Right. Okay.
Yes. And
that's right.
I want to touch on that, like the Vote 21. Great things that like I got to see, in my lifetime. You know what I mean? I'm proud to say that I was there for the Feed the Children drives, to clean up the communities. Like it was a big thing. Like it was always that to me. It was always growth and development to me, and I'm so happy that the world gets to see it. The world gets to see the change because before we didn't have the social media for that. You know, it was just
Right.
whatever the news said.
Right. Well, let me ask you this question, Chief. When was the last time you saw your father?
I saw my father maybe about a month ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a rough trip to get down there. You know,
Right.
you have to get flights to get in, you have to get a rental car, then you have to
Right.
drive over from Denver to Florence, and then from Florence to Colorado Springs, and then you go sit in that little room through the glass for 8 hours and
Wow.
watch him stand there because he doesn't like to sit down on a visit because he's sitting down all day already
Right.
anyway. So he stays up for 8 hours.
Mm.
So it's you know, it's just a crazy trip, but I've been doing it for so long now. It's kind of a regular trip.
Right. Right. Mm.
Now I do want to touch on the fact on that as well as how your growing up in Chicago was. What was that like? Being who you are.
Well, growing up in Chicago, being who I was, a lot of people knew who I was before I knew.
Oh wow, yeah, I'm sure.
Of course.
I mean, I was kind of but I grew up as a regular kid. I was influenced by the same things everybody else was. I played sports at a certain time in my life. I kind of got influenced by what I seen in the streets, a little bit of what I thought my father was before I got to know who he was who he really was,
Right.
you know. But I didn't really get like really involved into too many extracurricular activities. My father told me to go to school
Right.
Facts.
and
Facts.
Right.
you know what I mean, get an education. You know, he said, don't worry about that. Stay away from that. So he
That's
kind of
right.
guided me in one direction, and I kind of just knew my father for really growth and development. It was my life without me knowing it was my life.
Right.
But yeah, growing up, I was also protected,
Of
but
course.
I was protected, like overly protected, but I was a good guy. Even with knowing or when I knew who my father was, I never like used that against anybody. I still just stood as my own man.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well, damn. I ain't gonna lie. I couldn't imagine growing up. If you really think about it, you got eyes on you. You know, from a street perspective, you got eyes on you from a judicial perspective. Because you know, I feel like the system itself, they look at you and think that you're just like, you know, they judge you based on, oh, well, if that's Larry Hoover Jr., you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He might just be just like his father. He might, you know what I mean? And
Right.
the system, first of all, we live in a world where the majority of the people is locked up in the prison, industrial prison complex. Like, you know what I mean? This is supposed to be the land of the free.
Let me catch you in the middle of that before I lose my thought. And you're kind of right. I am just like my father. And from my father, I'm a fair individual.
Right.
I'm morally sound.
Right.
I have respect for others, and others give respect back to me.
Right.
You know, these
Right.
are the that I got from my father. These are the things he taught other people.
Right.
They just want to give it the narrative of what he did as a youngster and what he was known for. They don't want to really talk about who he is at this point.
That's
and
right.
even who he was before they silenced him.
Right.
That's right.
That's right. Because I feel like, do you feel like the world try to have like the sins of your father? You ever hear that statement, the sins of your father can fall to your son? Do you think that has resonated with you in a sense?
I mean, you know, I can't say that I have real proof, but it definitely feels like, you know, things follow me. When I say my name, when I go places, people, you know, they look at me.
Oh, yeah.
You the son of the gangster?
Oh,
or
yeah. Well, they
is the
already
police-
see. Oh yeah, I can imagine. Man, they already see. Oh shit, he black. You know what I mean? That's how I feel now. Just me being black in America. You know, oh shit, he black. He got dreads. He probably up to
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He probably about that life. Oh shit. You know.
So on top of that, let your name be something. Like, I can never not be Larry Hoover. You know,
Right.
when I
Right.
say it, when I open my mouth, I'm Larry Hoover. Other people, you know, they can go on as their life. They can take their hat off, put a suit on,
Yeah.
and they're who they are.
Right,
But
right.
I'm always Larry Hoover. And when the police stop me or whatever, you know, they looking funny.
Yeah.
You know, it's been times that in life, me and my mother have been stopped and put on the back of the car together. And, you know, that was pretty much the most humiliating experience I ever had with the police.
Right.
What they've done to me by myself, as far as being a youth, no big deal compared to putting me and my mother on the back of the car together. You know, just the thought, the fear that they put in me that I'm being watched at all times. I don't see them, but you know, it's just strange things that happen that make you feel like they're there. You know,
And yes, and God bless her. She's been dealing with a struggle for a long time. Miss Jenkins, your mother. Please tell us the dynamic of the two, like since I guess the beginning of this whole incarceration. What has their dynamic been?
That'd have been a lot.
I mean, the dynamic of them is, you know, they've been a strong couple and a good mother and father to go through this situation.
Yeah.
You know, if it wasn't for my mother, me and my father wouldn't have a relationship. It's a lot of people in this situation, because of their mother and father situation, the relationship between the kid and the father is lost.
Yes.
You know, and
that's facts.
They've been through, I mean, they're human beings, but they loved each other and they made sure that my mother made sure my father was a part of my life. And through that, we have a strong relationship over the years, the best one we could have for the situation that we're in, you know?
I'm glad to hear that. Yes, sir.
That's real.
Please.
My question is, well, one thing I noticed, you've been everywhere, Chief. You've been different podcasts. You've been on, I heard you on Kanye West's album. That I ain't gonna lie, the album's fire. But the words you had on there resonated in a sense, you know. But what I saw that was really important, and you know, the media always want to create a narrative, you know what I mean. But what I saw that what you did, which in your situation was, you literally hand out and you try to squash that beef situation between Drake and Kanye West. And the reason why I'm applauding you, like, well, what that has to do with me? Well, the country, I feel like unconsciously or consciously, want to create separationalism, right? And they don't want to see nobody unified. And the fact that if men, kings, us people put our differences to the side and unified for a better cause, to me, that's the most highest level of respect, you know? Because to me, the country wants separationalism, you know? They want you to be in a pit, so to speak. They don't want you to prosper, you know? Like, why hit somebody while they already down? So I applaud you for that, Chief.
Yeah, and the thing with that, that's my father's ideology. That's his thought.
Right.
To see those two guys going through that, and they're such iconic people, and they're us, and they come from us. With us having a connection to both of them, like, man, they need to put this to rest and come together. His whole ideology, and probably part of the reason why they wanted him silenced, because he knows that we're stronger together.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, that was his idea, to bring them together, to speak on the cause, to show unity, and hope that it can show unity to other people, and people can see what they can do with the unity and follow suit. You know,
there you go.
We need to get away from the separation. We need to come together as a community, and let's move together and make changes for us instead of bickering between each other. You know, people are getting hurt out here.
Right, and that's easy. It's easy to actually have that form of negativity.
I gotta applaud Jay Prince too. Jay Prince was very influential in all of this too, because please, I want to know your Jay Prince, being who he is, the legend he is of the South, man. Please tell me your relationship and how those bridges were able to come together like that. Like I watched how, you know, you guys were together, and you know, and they just came together at Drake's, you know. So please tell us about that.
Okay, well, Jay Prince definitely played a major role in putting this together and making sure that it happened. If it wasn't for Jay Prince, my father's idea wouldn't have happened.
Wow.
We had a relationship, but Jay Prince had a relationship with both sides, you know? Right. So without Jay Prince, this whole thing wouldn't have came together.
Right.
But you know, our relationship with Jay Prince goes way back. We used to do concerts in the 90s.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Dropping
Yeah,
jewels. Shit, we didn't know that.
Right.
Hey, that's what's up.
we were doing shows at the amphitheater. Like
Okay.
it's a theater that used to have circuses and what have you in the city and basketball games and
Oh shit.
Nice.
it wasn't used and it wasn't being used much, but it could hold 20, 30,000 people in there. And it was right on Halsted, right on 43rd Street. So we were doing shows, and when they were coming there, the shows that they were doing with black promoters were, clubs and what have you. But we did a lot of business with them back in the day, and they were trying to figure out who was this woman doing these shows with all these people that was being peacefully done. You know what I mean? And everything was orderly. So, Jay wanted to meet us. We met and we developed the bond, and we've been friends for over 20 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Shout out to Jay Prince.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jay Prince. Well, that's
Matter
fact.
of fact, Jay is family. He's not a friend. I said that wrong.
Yeah, the whole Rap A Lot family. And Jay Prince Jr., man, just shout out to him, just coming back home, getting everything back right.
Right.
And man, a lot of people, to touch on, as far as this guy, man, like he touched so many people. It's so many. The blueprint, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like he gave us so much that it sometimes it takes us getting away, sometimes to figure out who we are and what we stand for.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where everybody in the way, the picture gets blurred. And I feel like he was right there at the cusp of greatness, and they snatched him away from us. Like, I mean, just like going back and touching on that, Vote 21 was very serious. Especially to the guys down south. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that we hadn't seen, since like, civil rights and everything like that, like people actually pushing it, and they were trying to establish something. What do you see as far as that goes? As far as I'm trying to say in the best way, the growth and development going further, and I guess they're looking for the voice of reason between the situation in Chicago right now. We got FBG gone, Duck gone, and we got King Von gone, and everybody's looking for that bridge. Where do we go from here?
Well, like I said, growth and development, as far as trying to give it to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
That's constantly gonna be a goal of mine, because that should be my father's legacy. Even though they tried to make growth and development be something other than what it was, it's a way of life. It's a positive way of life for individuals. And when I say individuals, I just mean individuals and human beings, no individuals in particular. It fits for all types of different individuals. So I mean, that should be my father's legacy. But as far as those young guys that are going through what they're going through, like it's part. I mean, they use it as a gang situation. I believe a lot of it is more of personal situations.
Of course,
as influential individuals in their community, I believe they should use their voice to do other things, just like with Kanye and Drake.
Right.
I believe they should come together and make music and bring the city up instead of, bridging war on record and then carrying it out in real life. We're losing guys that were on the way to.
We know what Chicago is. It's a very, very influential place. This is before black gangs. This is Al Capone.
But let me interject though.
It's a big shadow that's there.
Right.
Also.
Let me interject or add on to that. Like, to me, what's gangster is actually like taking care of your priorities.
Of course.
Putting the bullshit to the side,
Of course.
Being a family guy, I mean, to me, that's gangster. Well, even what Mr. Larry Hoover Jr. did, the fact that he tried to, bring squash this beef. And I'm telling you, there's some people who love that. They want that type of drama, that negativity.
Ready for that. I know Chicago's ready for that. But they're just, it's like, it's in the air like, all right, if Larry Hoover comes home, he's going to just say, all right, it's over and it's over. And I think that's really where a lot of people get that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we live.
My father has influence. I can't say that he has the influence to just come home and say that it's
right.
That You know what I mean? He's been away. His voice hasn't been heard for 25 plus years. You know, he would love to interject and try to straighten things out because, you know, he's appalled when he sees what's going on in this city. He can't understand it. But, I mean, long as he will be allowed to, because, you know, they may tell him that we don't want you speaking to the people.
Right. That's
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it, but he would use his voice to try to bring peace if he possibly could.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
Try to get men to be men and young boys to get a chance to grow to men. You know,
Right.
He's all about being a part of society and not being an outcast of the society. Like he said years ago on the Ghetto Boys, he said, I know who you are because I was you, and I know where you're going if you don't get yourself together.
Yes,
and it
sir.
still stands true. You know, if you listen to what he was about back then, he's about that and more. You know what I mean? He's a senior citizen. Senior citizens are not applauding this type of behavior. Nobody's applauding this type of behavior. I believe that a lot of the young guys in the middle of it wish they could stop it, but they don't know how to stop it.
No.
And you know what I mean? I don't know who necessarily they respect enough to take the words from. I'm gonna do my best to try to give positive information about what you should do.
Of course.
But, you know, they have a mindset where this is where they really are in life. Like you can really make differences and you can make changes.
Right.
You know, wars can be stopped by making an agreement saying that we lost enough. Let's move forward. Nobody else needs to die. Nobody else needs to get hurt. Let's just move forward. Let bygones be bygones. I know people blood is shed and you try to get over it, but you can't bring them people back and life goes on. And we got to understand that it's a hard thing to swallow, but if you made it, tomorrow is another day.
Right.
The stuff that happened yesterday. Let's move forward or keep taking L's. Like, you know, you're not going to win.
That's right. That's all it is. That's right.
If you take an L, that L is not for losing, it's for learning. And so how you learn from that fall, you know what I mean?
Somebody's got to pick up and carry it though. Like somebody has to stand.
Man,
I applaud Mama Duck. You know, she, you know, for losing all the son she lost and the way they mannerism, like she's been still adamant, you know, this it's got to stop. At some point, when do you get tired? You know what I'm saying? When do you get tired of seeing your own friends and own people that you went to school with getting buried and then
some people become numb almost.
When do you get tired?
But some people, man, they become numb. You know what I mean? Like when, and I agree with everything y'all talk about as far as people need to get changed. But I know, and I'm just being real, I know that like some people, it's okay being grimy in a sense. Or evil, you know what I mean?
Now, yeah.
And it's sad that, and we hype it up. We as a culture, and it's time for for people like us, even with a platform like this,
put it down,
to actually, you know, embrace positivism and change.
Yeah, and love. Yeah.
You know, and love.
It's time to get back to love. It's time to get back to love, man.
Like even and not just love, like self well-being.
Yeah.
Like, let me ask you, Chief, if you think about it like this. Like you going through all of these trials and tribulations, trying to fight the justice system with your father. What you doing right now, like to cope with this? Because, you know, after COVID-19, a lot of people suffer from depression. A lot of people going through, you know, just BS. What is your coping mechanism to actually get through that? I'm not gonna say get through it, but to cope with it in a sense. Do you meditate? You know what I mean? Do you go for a jog? You know, what do you do to stay afloat and not be sinking in a sense?
I mean, basically the fact that I'm on this platform and I had an opportunity to do this, like this gives me life to really be able to fight for my father. I haven't been in a position to be able to fight for my father like this, to be able to reach out for other people's parents, just to shed light on this situation. Like this gives me meaning to be able to go out and advocate for my father and for other people, you know, so that's my coping mechanism. This is better than a regular job, you know?
I appreciate that.
I'm going to work for somebody else. I'm not really happy with what I'm doing. I'm just going to get a paycheck. This right here has real purpose and real meaning to me. So I don't really need a coping mechanism. This is a coping mechanism. It makes me feel good to be in this situation.
I appreciate.
so
I
happy to
can
hear
I
that.
can relate, and I appreciate
It
that.
keeps them going. Yeah.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. At first, I'm thinking when I first found out, my friend TK, "Hey, we gonna have Larry Hoover Jr. on the podcast. I'm like, there ain't no way, And I'm thinking, for real? Wait a minute, and the fact that to actually see you here, it's taking a lot of energy not to, run around the house. Because what we talking about need to be talked about,
Of course.
And it's not just the trials and tribulations, but how we deal with it as human beings, So
We're here for you.
just as much as you here for us. And hearing your story, I mean, my parents was in and out of jail. You know what I mean? I relate to a certain degree. I ain't gonna say 100% at all. You know what I mean? But
Right.
but what I relate to it is that's a lot of burden for your parent to be incarcerated. And so it's the reason why I asked you that question is just I hit home. I'm thinking like, damn, I remember that time my dad was in jail or my mom was in jail and they wasn't able to come around to that Christmas or damn, and then how my friends who knew about it judged me based on their incarceration. I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine at all how the world perceived, Larry Hoover Jr.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm thinking like, shit, I hate, that's a lot,
And he's a good guy. Yeah. I mean, good character,
Right.
stand up. Yeah, moral
Right.
guy. Yeah.
It's definitely a lot of people that, kind of had an opinion and looked at it funny, but, being here in Chicago and not leaving here, I also had a bunch of people that seen what my father was doing. So instead of judging me, they really do understand. They really do miss what he was bringing to the community. They miss where we were headed to as the youth of this community. It was things coming together that were going to make real changes. People felt safe. People felt love and togetherness. And this wasn't just so-called gangster disciples. This was Black youth.
Right.
Right. And it was. So I definitely had to deal with the people that looked at it a little funny as a kid. I didn't want to tell anybody who my father was.
Right. Even though they probably already knew. Even though they probably already knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was my name.
I do have a question though. How do you feel now that when they came up on your father and getting ready with, I know you're familiar, Justin Moore. How did you feel about, his representation of your father, as well as the people that are now that I guess the government tried to throw on your father, as far as the when he was getting ready to look at being, I guess, exonerated or
Okay.
yeah, those guys that came up and they tried to throw that on the case too.
Well, I feel good about Justin Moore. I call Justin Moore
Love him.
a freedom rider because, he deals with a lot of civil rights issues. He deals with more than just my father and the things that I see him taking care of and the situations for people around the country. I can be nothing but proud of him. Now, as far as my father is concerned, like he's been doing what he's supposed to do. So far to this point, with the First Step Act, he got us all the way there. Like he qualifies for it. It has nothing to do with why he's not released at this point. And then also anybody that can come aboard and help take this situation further, I'm all for.
Right.
It's just all benefits. The more people that come in and help, the more people that gets behind and push with us, that makes the calls and, harass the governor, that's the more the merrier, because we need it. If it's not the more the merrier, and they feel like the people are not concerned, they just move the way they move without, as long as there's nobody watching, they just do what they do. When there's people watching, then they have to.
I just hated seeing that. I hated seeing Chicago put up that news about the guys that, somewhere, off somewhere, and then all of a sudden, they're tied in to Larry Hoover. How? The man has been in ADX.
Y'all can't be surprised.
That's every time they see anything dealing with him, the media.
That's terrible.
Y'all can't be surprised.
And it doesn't make sense necessarily either. But they put it out there and people read it, and there's no other side to it. It just tries to sway the mind of the people.
The media, and I agree with you, Chief. the media make black people look bad in general. There's always some negative shit. Ain't nothing positive. Nobody want to talk about that one student who graduated college with like 4 different degrees and like the highest fucking GPA ever.
Right.
But they want to talk about the person who just robbed a bank or a store or it was an act. You know what I mean? Like I hate to be to sound like the conspiracy type. You know what I mean?
I got you.
But it just seemed like America doesn't love black people. It seemed like that. Ain't no other way to put it.
Look at the Kyle Rittenhouse thing today. Like I hope nobody was shocked because I wasn't shocked. When they let me know that the National Guard was on standby, and I knew. I said, "Oh, well, we know where this is going to go." That it disheartens me, the fact that this is what it still is. You know what I mean? That makes me look at Ahmaud Arbery's trial like, oh man, they're throwing out pastors. So you know,
hey, that's why we need to stay together instead of us fighting with each other. We need to fight about the things that affect us.
Right.
And today, as far as that guy, like if that was any one of us, I think it would have been simple. They would have said, "Why were you there?"
Right. How did you get weapons across state lines? How did your mom help you do it? She's going to jail.
Man,
it was no reason for you to be there. You were not hired to do security. You went out there with a gun. Why would you go out there with a gun?
Right.
Like, why were you there? It would have been just that simple.
Just
you
that
put
simple.
yourself in the situation.
The world we live in.
I hate it for the looking forward to I don't want to put things on anything, but Ahmaud Arbery suffered, and then on top of that, he's going to say that he was scared, he was afraid for his life, and that's why he had to shoot him. No, the man was in fight or flight. He had to do something. His life was on the line.
Right.
And they're trying. It just gives me that Emmett Till feeling back when my grandmama felt it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no justice here. There's going to be no justice here.
Right.
It definitely feels like we're going backwards in a lot of situations. And,
we is retrograding.
When we behave in the manner that we behave in, regardless of how we got to the manner of this behavior,
right,
it doesn't help us. There's a lot of things that was done over the years that led us up to the point that we in. But, we have to do better on our own also. Like nobody just go come in and save us. We got to come together.
And the first start, I agree with you. And the first thing that we should do is strive for unification in squash and beef. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I'm still stuck on when I found out, that beef between Kanye West and Drake got squashed, and you had everything or majority factor to do something with that. I'm like, all right, this man, he practicing what he preached. You know what I mean? And I respect that. I had the highest level of respect for that.
Right.
Man. I really do.
I'll say this. It's serious now in Chicago to the point where I know it's serious when Farrakhan's not getting all the way involved in it. Like, you know what I mean? Like most times you'll know, they're oh, okay, we need that. We need to calm these black folks. Let's call Farrakhan. That's usually where you'll see, but
Farrakhan getting up there in
the fans are sitting back watching things going on, knowing people getting killed. And just like how, after Vaughn was dead, they tried to, say certain things about him doing certain things to people, but y'all let him be a recording artist. You let him make millions of dollars. But now all of a sudden he's dead, and now he's this person.
Right. I agree with you, but the next thing is Farrakhan getting up there with age, which is going to be the next leader. Ain't nobody.
They sweep a lot of things under the rug is what I'm getting at. They sweep a lot of the things under the rug.
Which is why I think
for purposes of compensation and like it's ridiculous.
Which is why I agree. I think we should when I say unify, I'm talking like just as that should be the new movement.
Right.
To unify and get as far as
let's make it uncool to be a killer again. Like,
right.
Like remember when we
like
remember when we was uncool to sell drugs?
Negative, uncool.
I mean, people used to I mean, even freestyle. I remember back in the day when I freestyle.
It was uncool to sell drugs back in the day. Like, yo, you sell man, come on, man.
No. Well, I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Art be art and not real life. Let's not let life imitate art.
Right.
Off that you would telling a story, you were writing a movie, it sounded good, and then it started turning out that you had to actually live this life completely for it to be good music. Then it came to the point where if you were doing the music, you had to do what you were saying in the music. And
Right.
Exactly.
let's we have to get back to making it uncool, because if it's cool, that means my son thinks it's cool. That
Right.
that means my nephews think it's cool. That means all the little kids at the school think it's cool.
Right.
And after you hear it over and over again, it's programming. We don't want to accept the fact that we are programming our youth to grow into this. They don't understand that it's entertainment. And it should just be entertainment, but we got to better. Like we got to make a mix. And if we are going to make this type of music, it's got to be entertaining. It can't be real. It can't be a way of life.
No.
Let me say, I got sad the other night just watching that they have what they call drillologists now. There's a white boy in Canada somewhere that's talking about how this person killed this person and they killed them on this block, and it's a fad. It's a fad.
I grew up in
it just doesn't make any sense.
This is the thing. We used to
you know what? It is entertainment to some people, but it's real life for us.
It's real life
Facts.
for us.
Facts.
Right.
The thing is, I remember the drug dealer used to be glorified. Now the drug user is glorified. That's scary. I mean, think about it now. You know, in 2019, I lost my mom in an overdose. Wow. And when you look at the statistics now, especially after COVID, I mean, it's overdosing is just on a whole nother level.
Yeah, man.
That's a whole nother episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just
there's some changes that need to be made, definitely.
Right. And I think the first change, the first thing I think we need to do is unify. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how when I say
but that will push so many policies forward. I try to get my people to understand that just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean that they're not going to get what they came to get done. If you don't put anything towards it, you don't put any money towards it, they're not going to look at you. Right. That's why I love my people. But we didn't get Biden in there. Sadly, it was college educated women and minority women at that. Like they're like we didn't push like we should have pushed.
Right.
They went to bat because they saw their next 4 years going on a further down decline. We're just now getting back to pulling ourselves up, and I'm happy for it. I'm happy that we're getting infrastructure and all of that.
But I feel like we got
don't forget the people.
We got a long way to go, though.
Don't forget the people.
I mean,
just to get back to letting our people believe that it's a reason to vote. You know, you have a lot of people that feel like there's no reason to vote. There's too many games being played. But if we don't take part in what's going on, then we really don't have anything to say when it happens to us.
That's fact.
Like we didn't try to take part in the fight when you stand back and say that, I don't believe it and what have you.
Right.
So that means you don't deserve to say anything when it goes on because you didn't even try.
I write my governor, boss. I write my governor and I ask him questions and he let me know, the answers to my questions. Like if you have no kind of, leeway or standpoint with your legislators, the people that are pushing policies and the law that you got to live with, you're going to just be stuck with whatever you got.
And then come up with a contingency plan. What, like, in prime example, what's your contingency plan in the next 2 to 3 years? Maybe not the plan, but where you see yourself 2 to 3 years from now. You know what I mean? Hopefully, I know one thing. I didn't mean to interrupt. I hope that within this year, that your father is free.
Right.
I hope that's intuition.
I mean, you're trying to take my answer away. I want to
There we go. That's right.
Right.
We got high hope.
Maybe we can travel around and tell the rest of the story. The real story.
Yes.
Talk about some of the injustices that were done that nobody wanted to accept that were actually done. But they can actually be told and people can really know what's going on and what they're up against. The reason why they shouldn't get themselves in a situation that's easy to get into, but hard to get out of.
Yes, sir.
Facts. You're right.
Thank you. Thank you
right,
for that.
Man. I appreciate you coming on this platform.
No.
I mean, you ain't Mr. I think I'm Big Meech. Larry Hoover Jr.
That's the man.
Hey.
That's
what's up, man. I'm happy you're on here, Chief. And if you ever need a spot, a place, a platform, you can just call. You a phone call away. You know what I mean? You already know.
North Carolina's open to you, brother. North Carolina's open to you.
Facts.
Oh, okay. Well, I just want to let you know and let everybody else know. Like I kind of said in the beginning, but I just want to say it again because I wanted to resonate. Larry Hoover Sr. is he'll be 71 in a few days.
In a few days.
In a few days. God bless.
that's living in pretty much solitary confinement. And he's been there for 25 years. He qualifies up under the First Step Act to be released so he can get back to the world, so he can touch his family. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
It's 5 to 6 life sentences on a drug case. He's in there with terrorists. He doesn't fit the criteria to be in the situation that he's in.
Not at all.
You know, he's not a threat to his community. I mean,
right.
That's some compassion. He's redeemed himself. He's not the same person that he was when he went to jail. You know, he was a young man.
Right.
He's an old man. Senior citizens don't, the statistics say senior citizens don't come out of jail.
They're not recidivists. No, sir.
No,
they trying to make sure they have all the pills that they need at that point.
That's correct. Right. And we want to see him here. That's and the world wants to see him home. I just
don't want people to see the image of Larry Hoover, the gangster that they keep giving, and look at Larry Hoover, the human being that's a man that's
developed man.
Locked away.
That's right.
You know, in a cell, locked away in a cell for terrorists and individuals that harm the other individuals in the jail, and they can't do anything with them.
Right.
Like, he's not even a threat to be in that situation that he's in. So I just want people to see what it is and understand and keep putting the word out. Keep checking on Larry Hoover Jr. _ to follow the movement go to the hooverproject.org and see what's going on with him and his fight for prison reform for himself and others.
Yes, sir.
Go to LarryHooverJr.com. We have these shirts here that are for the movement. It's a box in the bottom of it.
Right.
That's because it's not just for my father, it's for other fathers. It's also my father, but you write that in. This is like a gym shirt.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, I just want people to stay in this with me and keep pushing, because when they do injustices to one person, then that means it's okay to do it to others. They use this case as the case where they can do something to somebody else. So let's write this. Let's all work together to right this wrong.
Yes,
he deserves a chance for redemption at this point.
Facts. And I need a shirt. I got, I needed 2X, 2 to 3X, you know what I mean? Let me get 2X.
Right.
Just two big fellas, fellas.
Let me get 2X. And but definitely I agree with that. And just to add on to that, I want to know, what can we do as a people, as my viewers watching, and granted, we all the way in North Carolina, but what can we do to help out in any shape or form, even if it's small?
I sent my the link that Justin put up. I've sent compensation to the Federal Bureau of Prisons to make sure that that Mr. Hoover has whatever it is that he can desire, whatever, and whatever we can do, but please, I'm sure he'll tell you further.
Well, really at this point, what we can do is put the word out. We're building the plan as far as the people that's getting behind this movement, as far as what we can do as a whole to really make the most impact.
Right.
We're not sure if it's going to be go to your legislator to try to get them to get behind the movement, or if it's going to be a million calls to Governor Blagojevich, not Blagojevich, but if it's the reach out to the governor to to drive him crazy, to see that
it's time to pick up the phone.
Want them released.
Right. Well, I need to find out the governor number.
We'll pick up the phones, brother.
Right.
We'll pick up the phones.
Right.
So I'm definitely going push the word of what it is we need to really be doing. But right now we just need to keep his name alive and keep the movement alive.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I appreciate you I feel like the most humble person right now.
Yes, very.
And I'm sending positive vibrations and blessings your way.
Thank you.
And I definitely I want a shirt, man. I want a shirt.
You had a number. We'll talk about that after this. We'll get you one.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Oh
man.
yeah. And anytime you need a platform, you hit us up. This is Great
Yes.
Apes Cafe, live and direct on the airways. Great appreciation for people, entertainment, and success. So I appreciate you being here, boss.
Larry Hoover Jr. Everybody.
Larry Hoover Jr.
All right. Thank you.
If you don't know, well, now you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's king. King, this is a king statement. King talk. So I appreciate it, Chief.
Thank you. And we want to give our best wishes to your mother and your father and everybody that's with you at this time. Thank you, brother. We do appreciate
All right,
it.
appreciate it.
Right. And we shout out to who got us connected. Who was who you talk to?
Susu, yes.
Who you talk to? Yeah.
Yes, thank her. Yes.
Right. How we got connected. Exactly. I will thank my connects. It's never what you know, it's who you know.
And hopefully we can have you back if God willing.
All right, I'll be willing to come back. Hopefully we can come back and talk about something real good.
Yeah.
We'll at least be talking about what we can do as a whole to push this thing through.
And I agree with that. Not just what to talk about, but how are we going to do it? What contingency plan and what we got to do to actually strategize to be able to do what we need to do as human beings.
Yes, sir.
As people.
You know, I don't necessarily have all the information right now, but that concert is definitely coming December 9th.
Nice. Wow. We heard it here first.
We heard it first.
We heard it first.
I got to put respect on Larry Hoover Jr. name now.
Yes, please.
All right. Put some respect on his name.
And I don't know when you're coming to North Carolina, but you got partners, man. We're here for you.
Facts.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, Chief. Well, you be safe and take it easy. Keep your head up. Keep doing what you're doing, boss. And I have utmost respect for you. So.
All right. Do the same. Be safe.
All right,
Chief.
Now. All right, this is Great Apes Cafe.